Danelle from Painted. Thank you so much for joining me in my workshop. I'm located in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but I understand that many of you are from different places all throughout the United States. So I know the chances of you coming to one of my workshops physically in person, it's slim, it's hard. And sometimes people who are local, with busy work schedules in life and being parents, it's also hard to attend a workshop. So what I did was I created workshops that I could bring to you. So you have options. You can buy the complete workshop bundle. So you will learn how to complete a finish and have all the materials directly at your hands. So we will go through together, step by step, how to achieve not only beautiful finishes, but finishes that are actually easy, so that you can take that technique that you learn and you can apply it to a piece of furniture. That is my main goal. Now, another option, and you may have selected, was the digital bundle. So what that means is you will watch my tutorial and you'll also have a PDF that you can print off at your home and you can follow along step by step. Because trust me, I get it. When you are painting a piece of furniture, the last thing you want to do is try to hit pause on your computer a bunch of times or on your phone and try to remember what step you're supposed to do. So to make your life easier, what I did was not only do I have the video tutorial, but I also have the PDF document so you can print it off and you can follow along with it. So when you have paint on your hands, you're not worried about touching your computer or touching your phone screen. So I hope that by bringing these tutorials to you, you try different products. And a lot of this stuff is incredibly easy and it's not using tons of different products, so that it's also very cost effective. So I hope you guys enjoy. And at any time, if you have any struggles or challenges, never hesitate to reach out and contact me. I'm there to help you from the beginning of your project all the way to the end. As always, happy painting. So today we're going to be learning the vintage patina finish. Now, if you purchase the digital package, what you're going to receive is an email that has this PDF document that you're going to have to print off, because it includes the step-by-step directions, and you're also going to receive the video presentation as well. Now, if you purchase the complete bundle, let's talk about what is included in your kit. You will get the printed version along with an email with the PDF. You're going to get your sample board. You will have a 2-inch and a 1-inch Fusion workshop brush. You're going to have a few paper plates, some lint-free wiping rags, and the colors we're going to work with, they're all from the Fusion Mineral Paint line. We have Little Teapot, Ash, and the Metallic Copper. The only supplies that are not included in your kit that you guys are going to need today will be a blow dryer if you want to speed up the dry time on your sample board, and a water bottle. Now, what I like to use, these are spritzing water bottles. They're not like a normal water bottle where it sprays with a heavy flow. These are spritzing, and you can purchase them off Amazon. I purchased this one off Sally Hansen, and they work great because they mist your water out onto your board, and you'll see that as we get going along. So all you will need on your own is the water and a blow dryer. So let's get painting. Now, before we could ever paint a piece of furniture, we're going to have to do what I call prep. And your prep is going to be different depending on your surface. So for today's example, we are painting over, bare wood. So we don't have to clean it. These are, brand new pieces. I've already lightly sanded the sides for you. And we can paint directly onto this wood. There's nothing that's gonna repel it. So our first layer of paint is actually gonna absorb a little bit into the wood, and it might lift the grain a tiny bit, not very much. This is a nice quality wood. But your prep, if you're applying this technique to a piece of furniture, depending on your furniture, your prep is going to be different. So please reference the prep guide that is included in your bundle. And if you purchase the digital package, you can look at the Fusion Mineral Paint prep guide that I have on my website. So for this purpose, we're going to be painting over a pine board. In step 1, what we're going to do is go ahead and grab our ash paint. So for step one, we're going to be working with our ash paint, and we're going to grab our 2-inch workshop brush. Always take your paint ahead of time and just give it a quick little shake. Make sure that it's all nicely reincorporated. And then when you open them, you're going to notice there's a seal. Open this carefully because sometimes it can, like, you know, get a little bit of paint can kind of come up when you open it. And we're going to take our paint and just grabbing one of your little paper plates, because obviously this container is too small for me to dip my brush in directly. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of paint on the plate, and you really only need a tiny bit. Ash has amazing coverage, and a little bit goes a long way. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just load up our brush. And the first step, we're going to have solid opaque coverage on this board. So go ahead and just paint it completely with the ash. And you're going to notice, because this board has a lot of detail work, you might have to manipulate your brush a little bit to get into the nooks and crannies. If this was a piece of furniture, I would have chose my pointed sash brush because it has a nice tip on it that I can easily get in. Obviously this is just for a sample board, so I'm going to just take my brush and kind of, you know, push it into those little indents. But I'm just getting nice, solid, even coverage. And you can tell, this is just one layer of paint, but look how amazing the coverage is. And I'm gonna just add a little bit more. You will have plenty extra in your sample, and just know Fusion has a 7-year shelf life, so save your paint, don't throw it away. You can use it on a future project. And I'm just getting it into all the little nooks and crannies. Whenever I'm doing a sample board, because a lot of times I like to show a customer the boards, I also like to do the edges just so they look a little bit more finished. So we're going to go ahead and do the sides as well. And you'll notice the texture on the side is more rigid, so sometimes it takes paint a little bit differently, just based on how it was cut and it's not been, sanded incredibly smooth. Now I am getting paint on my fingers, but just know Fusion is a water-based paint, so it'll clean up with some soap and water. And then whenever I'm painting, I always like to do just a final nice light stroke, always going in the direction of the grain of the wood. So now that our board has been completely painted with the ash, now just to speed up dry times, I'm gonna go ahead and use my blow dryer to speed it up. Now, if this was a piece of furniture, I would go ahead and allow it to air dry before I come on with my next coat of paint. So I would probably allow it to dry for at least 2 hours in normal, room temperature environments. But to speed it up, we're gonna just go ahead and use the blow dryer. Real quick, because this is a great educational moment, when you start to dry your paint, you're gonna notice if you missed any spots, because it's gonna appear lighter. So if you notice while you're drying, if you missed anything, go ahead and just touch that up. Because I wanna hide the bare wood on this first coat completely. Okay, so now when our ash is completely dry, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our clean 2-inch brush and we're gonna open up our little teapot. That is the blue color we're gonna be using. And you're gonna go ahead and pour a little bit of it onto your plate. And then we're gonna load up our brush a little bit lightly, and you can take some of the excess off right now and use those ridges again on your plate to just kind of unload some of the paint. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna dry brush some of the little teapot into some of the higher raised areas on our molding. And then we're gonna follow that by some more solid, I have a little bit too much, so I'm gonna unload a little bit more. And I'm using very little pressure, and I'm just gliding my brush along the top. And the reason I do this is I say I can always add more paint. It's easier to add more paint than the work it takes to wipe it away. So I always say less is more when you're starting. And one thing I want to emphasize is, you know, anytime you do a project, your finish is going to vary every single time depending on how heavy or how light you apply the pressure. So for this, let's just make sure that we're putting it all in this solid brush stroke pattern going with the grain. And then we're actually going to do some more solid opaque coverage in the areas that are not the detail work. So we're going to go ahead and put our little lamb heavily on those. And the cool thing is if you add too much little lamb, it's okay. You can always, you know, wipe it back and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. So this is where you kind of experiment a little bit. But the main thing is just to go in the same direction. I'm gonna go a little bit heavier down here. And so I have some areas where the original color of the ash is peeking through. And now while this paint is still very wet, go ahead and grab one of your lint-free rags and your water bottle. And I like to use, like I said, the misting style water bottles, and I'm gonna show you why. When I spray the water on it, it doesn't have so much force that it separates my paint. It just puts a nice mist on top of it. And then after I've misted it, I'm going to take my lint-free rag and I'm gonna, again, wipe in one solid direction, like of the grain. And this is what's gonna leave that really cool, it almost makes the ash look a little bit more gray. Or I'm sorry, it gives it like a lighter gray look. And you're gonna need probably more than one of your wiping rags. Or you can go ahead and fold it. You just wanna make sure now you have like a dry spot on your rag. And you're gonna keep wiping until you get that desired patina finish. And I like mine to not look even, so I might apply more pressure here and then a little bit lighter over here. So I just keep wiping until I get that desired finish that I like, but always wiping in that same direction. And like you can take your fingernail and kind of put it into these creases where the crevices are, and that will, you know, give more pressure to reveal more of the dark ash color. And by varying the pressure, you get a really cool different finish where some of it looks darker, some of it looks lighter, and I think it just looks more authentically aged that way. So if I was working on a piece of furniture, because the paint can dry fairly fast, I would do it in sections. Like if it was a buffet, I would do this technique to like the side first, get one side nice and done, and then move on to the next. So I would do it in steps when it comes to this part when we're adding the water. Because if your paint dries too much, you can obviously go ahead and spritz it some more, but it just makes removing the little teapot a lot harder. And I kind of like how it looks where it's pooled and it gives it that cool patina up there. So I'm gonna kind of leave that. And I always tell people too, to sometimes take a break and step away from your finish and see if, you know, once it dries, how you like it. So I'm gonna follow my own advice and I'm gonna go ahead and allow this to dry. And for educational purposes, I'm gonna speed up the dry time once again using just the blow dryer, but on a furniture piece, we would just allow it to air dry. So I'm gonna continue to allow this to dry, but as it's drying, I'm gonna go ahead, and I suggest you do as well, and wash out your 2-inch workshop brush because you'll now be done with using this one. So let's keep our brush in nice condition by just, keeping it clean. So you can go ahead and set your little teapot aside because you're now done using that one. And on your board, if you want to add more of the light blue, patina look, go ahead and you can. Or if you're satisfied with it and your board is completely dry, then you're going to be ready for the next step. And on the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our metallic copper paint and our 1-inch, which is the smaller size workshop brush. And go ahead and grab one of your paper plates, and you're going to now be opening up the copper and putting some on the plate, doing the same technique like we did with the little teapot, where we just need a tiny bit of paint, and the copper we're really going to use just a little bit. So dip your brush a little bit into the copper paint, and I'm going to show you guys. So I have a little bit of copper on my brush, and I'm really going to offload it. So using those ridges on your plate, let's really get rid of a lot of it. Almost till like you're getting rid of it. It'll feel like you're getting rid of all of it because a little bit of metallic really goes a long way. So when you have just a little bit of the paint left on your brush, and if you're worried that you have too much, you can also use one of your wiping rags and kind of offload on that. So then what we're gonna do when we feel like we have just a little tiny bit of the copper paint on our brush, and you can offload it a little bit also on one of your wiping rags, you're gonna wanna make sure that your board is dry. So go ahead and just touch it to confirm that the blue color, the little teapot's dry. You're gonna take your brush, and in that same technique, going in that solid motion, very, very gently, let your brush glide along those carvings of your board, or if it's on a piece of furniture, and anywhere that the area is raised, the metallic paint is really gonna pop. And it takes very little pressure to get it to show up. So go gently with this step because you can always add more later. So I just kind of like to hit all the high areas. And then, so my metallic's gonna sit on the high areas and it won't be in the low areas. And I just think that looks really natural. And let me show you guys a close-up because that is how easy creating the vintage patina finish really is. And this looks, in my opinion, like a very high-end, complex finish. And think about it, it only took you 3 different products and some very easy to follow steps. So I hope you guys found this tutorial of a benefit and that you can apply it to furniture. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me because I'm there to help you guys from the beginning of your projects all the way to the end. As always, happy painting.